Welcome back. I'm with the UJ Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Chilizi Marwala. And of course, you too can share your thoughts with us on Twitter, the hashtag the Modise Network. We are now going to talk, we're talking about education at tertiary level, of course, and the lives of students. But fourth industrial revolution is what all of us are interested in. I am certainly. But I realize one thing that, and I've heard this from people saying, everyone talks about fourth industrial revolution as if we're on the same page. We know what we're talking about. But actually, it has to be defined. What is it?
Maybe just to define it, maybe let me just talk about the other industrial revolutions.
Yes.
We had the first industrial revolution. It gave us steam engines. South Africa got a steam train 60 years after the discovery of steam engines. Tim, you will agree with me that no nation can afford to be 60 years behind.
Yeah.
And we're largely spectators in the first industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution gave us electricity and the assembly line, which gave us mass production of goods and services. That is the revolution that made a car affordable for the ordinary person, for the middle class. Again, we're spectators. Then the third industrial revolution gave us electronics, semiconductor devices. There is a beautiful book called The Intel Trinity, talking about the story of the people who founded the computer company, computer chip company Intel, and how they did that in a peach farm, which now we call Silicon Valley. And it gave us electronics. Our phones are electronic, which is really the age in which we live on. Our computers are electronic devices. Again, we were spectators. In fact, up to today, we do not have a single semiconductor company in South Africa. Now we are living in what is called the fourth industrial revolution. This is a revolution where the distinction between a person and a machine are becoming blurred. Human beings can no longer be able to do things without a machine. For example, if I were to take away your phone for 2 days, you will be psychologically damaged.
Yeah. 2 days? I thought you'd say 2 hours.
Exactly. So the fourth industrial revolution is about the convergence of people and machines. It's about machines that can understand language. You can speak to it. It's about machines that can be able to recognize faces. You go to Facebook and you load your picture. It is able to tell who the person on the picture is. Such tasks used to be done by a human being. So the fourth industrial revolution is driven by a few technologies, biotechnology, 3D printing, blockchain, but most importantly, artificial intelligence, which is really a technique of making machines intelligent as human beings are intelligent. And if machines are intelligent as human beings are intelligent, then they will be able to do the sort of work that used to be done by human beings.
Now, Prof, we have a person like you and some of your colleagues in our society, and we look at people like you to help us, take us somewhere. You say the earlier industrial revolutions, we were spectators, majority of South Africans. And possibly there is always that possibility that we may become spectators again. We probably are, but we can catch up. What are we doing in South Africa currently, to your mind, that you think is helping us, up our game, rise to the occasion before we get overwhelmed by this fourth industrial revolution?
Absolutely. Maybe just to also mention that of all the revolutions, the most democratic and accessible is the fourth industrial revolution. Because for you to go and do artificial intelligent software that is able to recognize somebody's voice in Sepedi, which one of my late students actually did a project on that, where you speak to a machine, and this was 10 years ago. You speak to a machine in Sepedi, and the machine translates, says whatever the person has spoken in Sepedi in English. So
I can imagine the machine we say Tobela, Tobela warra.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's the most democratic and accessible because it does not require huge labs. It does not require huge labs where you are wearing fancy costumes. The third industrial revolution, semiconductors. You have to be wearing protective clothing in order to be able to operate there. So what are we doing in order to be participants? We need to educate our people, and we need to educate them well. What the Americans did well, and perhaps that is why they are leading in the fourth industrial revolution, they give you something called a well-rounded educational experience, which means if you come to do mechanical engineering, you must do other subjects. For example, I did 2 semesters of acting. So Tim, the reason why you're not seeing me on Generation is not the lack of talent. I actually studied acting as part of my...
we can score you a part as an extra in one of the...
Exactly. I studied economics, I studied history of South Africa in Cleveland, Ohio. I studied and so on and so forth. And why is this important in the fourth industrial revolution? It is important because the technologies of the fourth industrial revolution requires people who understand people. Because
I must underline that.
Yeah.
It requires people who understand people. Right.
Because sometimes when people go and study technical subjects, they forget about people. They forget that people have different accents. And therefore, when they design Google Maps, they don't give it a South African accent. It cannot even pronounce our local names. Because somebody has actually forgotten that accents are actually quite important. Because a Google Map is not only about technology, it's about language.
I hope Siri is listening, right?
Exactly. It's about language. I have a device from Google, and I will ask it, I will say, who is Chidi Zimarwada? Says, sorry, I don't know who this person is. And I ask it, who is the author of Skynet in the market? It pronounces my name with an American accent. Why? Because the person who designed this thing did not understand people. The person understood technology.
But now, let me take you away from that for a moment. We'll come back to the technology and talk about the South African economy currently. And the president said the unemployment rate is a burning platform. I apply it to the overall economy anyway, that it's not growing and jobs are not there, and the literacy levels are very low for the change that we are going through now. What do you think South Africa can do currently in a situation where you've got retrenchments going on, the economy not growing, many people being terrified, correctly so, of the future, not knowing where jobs are going to come from?
I think we should get our basics right. And the basics are simple things. Let's get our educational system correct. Because part of the reason why South Africa's economy is actually struggling is because it does not have nearly enough people. And it does not have people who are competitive enough for a company that is located in Silicon Valley to come and put a shop in South Africa so that they can manufacture goods here. The reason why they wouldn't do that is, and I've asked quite a few people, they will say you don't have skills. So there's an element of skills that is very important, and that means we have to get our education basics correct and right.
Now,
and then secondly, we should adopt new ways of production. If you are a small company in Benoni that is making nuts and bolts, and you think that you are going to still make nuts and bolts using machining equipment of the 60s, and you are going to compete against China, you are going to be out of business. Because South Africans, when they go and buy, they still go and buy the cheaper goods.
On price.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this question because Elon Musk, right, who's one of the poster boys of the fourth industrial revolution, says he's very concerned about artificial intelligence, that it might overwhelm humanity and ultimately take over Are you as concerned about that as he is?
Absolutely not. Because most of the artificial intelligence that I have seen is what we call specific artificial intelligence, which is the one that is trained to recognize faces when they are presented to them, or fingerprints, biometric system when they are presented to them. What we have not been able to master is what is called generalized artificial intelligence. This is an artificial intelligence that will be able to make you coffee, will go and pick your friend from the airport, and then will schedule meetings for you and drive you. In all those things, if you wanted to use artificial intelligence, you will have to design them differently. And now, why is that important? It is important because once we master general artificial intelligence, then we will have mastered what is called consciousness. The machines that we have now that are artificially intelligent do not have consciousness. And therefore, they cannot just decide now and say we have to go and attack.
Yeah, we've decided now. We're going to fetch people from a party, or we're taking them there. But a quick question too. We spoke about young people, the students. But
maybe just to also add, I am concerned that somebody might actually design an artificial intelligence that can robot that can go and destroy one of our malls, for example.
I suppose that's partly where Elon Musk was coming from. A quick one for the benefit of broader South Africa. If we have to develop a can-do winning spirit, because we tend to be demoralized, as you can see, we go on protests and we get easily upset, I would suggest, when things do not go right. What can we do as individuals and as a people? What kind of mindset do you think we need, very briefly?
Discipline. We need to instill discipline, and it has to happen in the families, but it also has to happen in our schools. So if we are seeing videos as we are seeing of teachers being assaulted by people who are young enough to qualify to become my grandchildren, and I'm only 47, then we are not going to be able to do that. Discipline, then hard work. You are not going to work hard unless you are disciplined. And then thirdly, we need to be ambitious. Once you have those three things, discipline, hard work, and ambition, then you can conquer all the problems that you have just outlined.
I'm sure the grandparents and the parents are happy that they're sending their children to an institution led by a man who believes in discipline, hard work, and ambition.
Absolutely.
So, not a bad choice for a principal. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
Our guest. We appreciate.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we're still going to tap into your knowledge of the fourth industrial revolution going forward, so we understand more and appreciate more. That's Professor Chiluji Mawara, and he is the principal at UJ. After the break, we'll be taking a look at how we turn things around the country's economy from a political point of view with Gwen Ngwenya, who's the head of policy for the Democratic Alliance.